The 2024 Polyglot Gathering is brought to you by Glossica.
Okay, hello everybody. I think that we can start. But before the presentation, if you have any questions, just go to the slido.com, enter with the code PG2024, and feel free to ask about anything. So right now, let's welcome Brian Loo Soon Hua.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so, all right. So I'm going to present this in English. I might move into a bit of Malay or Indonesian or something along the way, but anyway, we will do mostly in English. Hands up to anybody who is learning Malay, Indonesian right now. Okay, anybody who speaks or is learning like a language from the Philippines, like Tagalog, or who speaks it natively. 1, 2, okay. So now I know. Okay, perfect. So selamat pagi, apa kabar? Yeah, magandang umaga po sa mga Pinoy lahat, or anybody who's learning those languages. Okay, so we're going to start with a little. Basically a brief map of the region that we're talking about. Don't mind the little mistake. There's a typo here with New Guinea is up there where it doesn't belong. It's just a strange map. Okay, so if we start from this left to right, so the Austronesian languages are probably before, pre-Columbian times, the world's most widely spread language family. So we're talking about East Africa, so Madagascar, all the way to Southeast Asia, and of course Taiwan, down all the way to Micronesia, Melanesia, and Polynesia, up to Easter Island, not far from South America. So it's a huge area, and this area was colonized before modern technology, no GPS, no compass, nothing. This was, what we can do here is, if we look at the languages up here, oh, is this working? What am I doing? Oh, okay. So the putative sort of homeland of these languages is Taiwan. And basically, we can divide all these languages. We're not talking about genetic groupings. We're talking about like features in common into 3 broad groups. So the most conservative groups are from up north, Taiwan, into the Philippines, and a little bit of Borneo and Sulawesi. So like this. So what I just said just now. The largest family in this group is Malay-Indonesian. So that has more than 250 million speakers. First speakers and second speakers and blah, blah. There's all that. So it's a very big family. You can divide it into 3 groups, roughly. So the most conservative group is those in Taiwan, Philippines, Sabah, which is northeast Malaysia, Sulawesi, and of course Madagascar. Okay. And what this is if you don't learn Tagalog or anything, it's a very complicated voice system. It doesn't exist in Europe or anywhere else in the world. And then there's basically what happens is, we'll talk about this. Don't be shocked by or scared by this. These languages are also tend to be more verb initial. So the verb comes at the beginning of the sentence usually, yeah, but you can of course change a bit for stylistic differences. This is from Tagalog. If I remember what I just from memory, what I remember, okay? So what you have here is the verb has the word, the bili, the verb here, that's the beli in Malay, or if you speak Malagasy, vid, that means to buy, to purchase, or something like that. It probably meant something like to trade, or something before, a long, long time ago. So you have a system whereby all these actors, the triggers, all these are actually affected by the participants of the noun phrases in the verb, in the sentence. So we'll go slowly. This is just a very basic. You can actually increase this into more pabili, to ask someone to buy something or to let someone buy something. You can go to be able to buy something, makabili, and then more. This is like halfway. I counted like 125 different forms, as opposed to Indonesian, where the verb has like less than 10 forms. So this is what I mean by a conservative language. So the languages in Taiwan are also like this, the Aboriginal languages. The second group that most of you will be familiar with, Bahasa Indonesia, Bahasa Malaysia, as more of a active, passive kind of thing, like aku makan, I eat something, itu dimakan, that's being eaten or has been eaten. They tend to be more like subject, verb, object, and we'll discuss why this happens. And the final group, if you go into, especially beyond Micronesia, into Polynesia and that area, it tends to be more of, even more simplified. So you have like languages like Tahitian, Hawaiian, all these, they have a very simplified grammar. You don't really need to learn any conjugation, anything at all. All right, so let's just go and move ahead and see some examples. All right, so, this one, yes. Okay, so let's give a very simple sentence in Malay or Indonesian. Aku minum kopi. So it's like Chinese, well, he cafe, there's no inflection. I use the word aku because that's the original Austronesian word. The more formal ones was like saya, they're all borrowings from Sanskrit. So if I were to translate, this is perfectly fine, okay? If I were to translate this into a more conservative language like Tagalog, it will not make sense. Like this. If I do it word for word, it doesn't, this is gibberish in Tagalog. Ako inom kape, it doesn't work. So this one is, this one is, this one. So now, how do we make this grammatical? So the first things first, where is the verb? So I drink coffee, to drink, right? Easy. So let's move the verb to the front, and we'll make this a grammatical sentence. Okay, now where is the pronoun? So ako, I. So in languages like Tagalog, the pronouns tend to come after the verb. In Malagasy, the subject was go at the end, so it depends on the language, yeah. And there are languages in Taiwan where they come like a prefix before the verb, so let's just follow this. Keep this simple. And then now let's do other things. What is, Now we have to select the right case. Yes, very conservative Austronesian languages have cases. So, first things first, the word I has 3 cases. They don't really correspond with European languages, but more or less. So you have a case where something is like, I am in focus. That means it can be the subject, it can be the object, it can be indirect object. It's just that the important one is I. Then if you go into the second one, the ko, it has 2 functions. It can be the sort of the object, the non-focus, subject, object, whatever your sentence is, and the genitive, the possessive. And then you go down again, sa akin means to me, or it can be a locative at me, on me, or something. And the same with a noun. So pronouns and nouns have different, patterns. So for a singular noun, you have ang kape, nang kape, sa kape. So it's coffee in the singular and in a very more formal way to say it. Now, once you select the right case. So first things first, what is the most important thing in this sentence? Is it I am drinking the coffee, or is the coffee that's important? And it's up to you. It depends on the conversation. There's no nominative, accusative like in European languages. So if we say like this, I drink the coffee, okay, let's keep the verb like this. Okay, we just changed the pronouns and the nouns. Ako inom ako ng kape. It means I am drinking some coffee. So the focus is on the I. Okay, let's do that. And then what happens is, if you flip around like this, now, I'm just keeping the top the same, we need to choose the correct verb form. So we already decided that I is the one important. I am the one drinking the coffee, not Maria, not me, I'm drinking the coffee. So the actor, the one doing it, is the one that's in focus. So now we put that. But this is the infinitive, don't forget, it needs to be, there's more things to be added. So, uminom, ako ng kape. The other forms are for different types of focus depending on your sentence. So it's a bit more flexible than in European languages. Okay, so now, once we do this, we have to select the correct aspect, perfective, imperfective, or future. So Tagalog has basically, a verb has 4 forms. You have something that's like the infinitive in European languages. You have something that's like perfective in Slavic languages, something that's already happened and it has finished. Something that's imperfective, which is like thing that's going on right now, or it happens all the time. So, always happening. And the contemplative is something like it will happen, or expected to happen. Okay, so we have to select. Let's choose one. Let's say something is ongoing right now. I'm drinking coffee right now. So umiinom ako ng kape. So I'm drinking some coffee, or I'm drinking coffee. Okay, I am the more important one. The coffee is just a generic coffee. All right. What if you switch them around? What happens, right? So what happens, you must change the case and the verb. So if I want to drink the coffee, that's important to the conversation. This is I drink some coffee or a coffee. It's ininom ko ang kape. So it's the same in English. But in Philippine languages and in Taiwanese languages, the focus is, where do you want to put the focus? Is it I am more important or the coffee is more important? It's up to you and up to the conversation. So this is what's very complicated. Okay, so, another thing I forgot, when I was learning Tagalog, so conservative languages like Tagalog have a distinctive stress. So if you say suso, it's a type of freshwater snail. I think it's what we call balitong in Malaysia. And suso means breast, which is cognate with the word for milk in Malay. So don't get them confused. Yes, so bata means bathrobe, bata means to persevere, and bata means child. So these are like, yeah, so it's just the stress and where you put the glottal stop. This doesn't happen in Indonesian. So Indonesians who learn Tagalog and Philippine language, they struggle with this all the time. So if I say the stress, suso with the glottal stop, it means a type of snail. And suso means breast, so it's the stress. And there's a glottal stop as well in some words. It's indicated by these markings, so there's a system that is supposed to exist, but it's not generally used on a daily basis. It's like stress in Russian. You don't really mark it when you're writing unless you really, really have to, or if you're learning the language. So in a textbook, you might see it, but not in everyday life. Okay, so I think that's about it for now. Oh, if you have any questions, leave it to the end, and I will try to answer it like the last 10 minutes or so. Okay, so this is just a thing. So these are typical of very, very conservative. Like, I won't go through everything. So Malagasy has something very, very similar. So you have changes. I visited the children. I'm not going to go into detail, but this is just how it goes. Yeah, so it's actually quite complicated. People tell me that Indonesian and Malay are so simple to learn, but I said you haven't met the rest of the family yet. Yeah, so this is. Okay, so. We're going to a place called Guam, if anybody knows where Guam is, right? So I'm going to walk here right here, show you. So China, you have Vietnam. So Philippines, we're going to go to this area here. So that's Guam. So the language there is called Chamorro, and it was highly influenced by Spanish, in vocabulary only, and some particles and all. But the grammar is still very Austronesian. So what happened is, so the language is called Chamorro. They spell this digraph CH as one letter, so if it's capitalized, CH, the C and the H must be capitalized. Chamorro. And this is just some information you need to know. In some areas, it's a dying language, and others maybe not, but it's a branch of the Austronesian languages that is quite different from the others in the Philippines. It may have actually broke off when the language spread out from Taiwan into the Philippines. It broke off very early. So it has some very interesting features. Yeah, so if we look at, well, this is just some history. So the islands have been inhabited for more than 3,000 years. We know this because they were the earliest sort of to break off from the Philippines and Taiwan. Okay, now, it was conquered by Spain in the late 17th century. The language is written in a Latin script, like a lot of Austronesian languages today. So Catholicism is dominant religion. The Spanish language, and this is very important, this language uses a lot of Spanish loanwords, but adapted into the own phonology. So you might not recognize it a little bit. This was very important because this was the stopping point. If you know, like the Philippines and Spain were connected, but not directly from Spain, but through Mexico. So you can sail from Manila all the way into Acapulco in Mexico, but they will always stop in Guam. So that's why that was the connection. So when Guam was sold to the United States, 1898, after the Spanish-American War, then the culture became more Americanized. Okay, that was the Northern Mariana Islands were sold to Germany. That was the history. All right. Let's see. So, some information. Who wants to try phonetics and phonology this time in the morning? Okay. So the structure of the language this has changed. So most Austronesian languages are like 4 or 5 vowels. This one is 6 vowels, and it's developed into a back to front thing. So just like in Turkish, it's moving into that. So you have E, A, A, and U, O, O. The A is pronounced like an A, and the A with the circle is O. Like in Persian, A, O. Yeah, something like that. So we've got little particles here that you put in front, and these will shift or push the vowels either back or front. So like this. So the word for house is guma. Guma is related to rumah in the region. The house is igima. So the I will pull it up to the front. Fokgon is a stove, and ifekgon, the stove. The stove. Hoga is blood. Gihaga is in the blood. Hoga is related to darah in Indonesian, if you know this. Tungo is to know, and intingo is we know. Depending on the pronoun or the preposition or article, it will pull or push the vowel. Tungo is to know, and entingo, you all know. So these are all pronouns that sort of change the pronunciation. So it's sometimes very hard to find a word in dictionary if you don't know the original vowel because of this. So to tie is godde, ginede is something that's tied. So so one feature of Austronesian languages is what's called infixes. I'm going to show you up there. So the IN goes between the first and the second letter that you don't really have in European languages, I know, yeah. And then lagu is north, so san lagu is northward. And oddot is ant, and miadot is lots of ants. You can you sort of add more prefixes, suffixes to sort of extend the meaning of a word. So it's you find often Spanish words with a lot of strange things before and after, and so what happens. Okay, so I think that's probably for the phonology. The grammar of Chamorro is very interesting. So let's go very simply. So the stress is movable. It's generally before the last syllable. So hasso is to think. Hinaso is what I was thinking or thought. Hinasomo is your thought, your idea, your thoughts. Our thought, hinason mami. So it goes on and on like this. All right. They have a construction that you may find in some Philippine languages. You get, okay, not this one. The first one is like goha salapehu. Salape means money, just like in a lot of Philippine languages. So goha salapehu means I have money, and I have no money. Taza salapehu. The Y is a z sound. Taza salapehu, which means I have no money. Or you can also add a prefix in front, like gai salape zu. So it's like me salape ako in Tagalog, something like that. Some sort of construction. So you put a suffix to change the whole thing into a verb, to have money or to not have money. This is the way they do this. And you can do it with any noun. So you can, yeah, pretty much. So the Austronesian focus system, we were talking about the complicated thing, whatever, they've turned it into definite and indefinite. So it's evolving into something like Hungarian. When you say like, I eat the apple and I eat an apple, you use a different, the verb with a different pronoun suffix. The same thing is happening for whatever reason. So I ate the apple. Yeah. Actually, I made a spelling mistake. It's hukonoi mansanas. The word for apple has an S. So it's a plural word that became singular. Hukonno is to eat. It's like the word in the kan in makan, or in Tagalog, kain, kaun in Cebuano. This is the same root. Gimen I kafe. So I drank the coffee. So all these have the. So gimen is related, it's the modern Chamorro pronunciation. It used to be ginem. So inom, minom, the same root. And then you have tahungo ibinodu, the deer, a Spanish loan word. So we heard the deer. Hungok is related to dungok in Cebuano. Dinig, dengar is the same loan word, same sort of root word. So yeah, we have some very interesting changes. So this is when I say I want to do something to the whatever. If I want to do something to something, you have to have a different verb. And whatever it is, it depends. There are pairs. So some words have completely different forms, like tsumotsu is I eat something. And a different pronoun, tsumotsu zu mansanas, there's an S actually, sorry. And gumimen zu kafe, I drank a coffee or some coffee. Manhungok hit binodu, we heard a deer somewhere. So the nouns generally, they only take the word the, but the verbs change in different forms and the different patterns. And the forms here, you can often add like plural and whatever, singular, dual, plural. So it's not very as easy as Indonesian. Yeah, these are the more complicated relatives. So something like this. Then we're going to go to the Northern Marianas, and from the Northern Marianas and Guam, we go a little bit down to Palau. So you go here, down to here, Palau. Anybody knows about Palauan? No. It's my favorite Austronesian language, actually. So it was Palau, the islands of Palau. Anybody speaks Japanese? Learning Japanese. Yep, okay. So you recognize the word to vote, senkyo. So they use a lot of Japanese loanwords instead. The island was ruled by Japan for quite a while, part of the Japanese Empire. So old Palauans can still speak fluent Japanese. And there's a lot of loanwords. And the other thing is the language, you can see it looks very different from the other Austronesian languages, but it is. It's just gone through a lot of complicated sound changes. So here's another one. So this is vote, senkyo, Ernest Ongi Dobel. So the candidate of the common people, so koho siara husul ath. So koho sha, candidate, and futsu in Japanese, and ath, which means people. This is from Austronesian, yeah. So it's like French. There's a lot of liaison. Sometimes you drop the and you join up the words. It's not a very easy language to learn, but it's very interesting, yeah. So any questions, just leave it to the end. I will try to answer them. Yeah, so that's what happened. And then I think we can go to a little bit more about Palauan in general. So yeah, senkyo, I just use this. All right, so a sample text, I'm not going to bother, I'm not going to try to read it, but if you look at it, you wouldn't even think that it's related to Malay or it's hard to find any cognates, but they are there. It's just that they've changed so much phonologically that you wouldn't recognize it. Yeah. I like to call it the French of the Austronesian languages. A lot of changes and you wouldn't, yeah. So very, very simple. Okay, this is another complicated thing. I tried to crack my head, but what happens is, all the verb forms we learned in Chamorro, in the Philippine languages, where you put in prefix, suffix, whatever, they've become merged together into a single unit in Palauan. So you cannot predict what a verb will become just from, looking at it. So for example, the word to eat, which is something like ka'en or something in Proto-Austronesian. So it is where you get the word, the kan in makan, the kain in kumain kain in Tagalog, or kai in Polynesian language, kai, that root, They have turned it into, you can try to find it in the sentence. So James ngikal, which is James is eating the fish. James milangil, which is James was eating the fish. James kili ngikal, James ate up the fish. And amalka kolia beras. Beras is a very late loan word from either Philippine or Indonesian languages, meaning rice. So it's bigas, so beras yeah. So yeah, so you can't find the word to eat because it's been sort of like assimilated and squashed up into the prefixes. So which means that every time you learn a new word, you have to learn separate forms for the verb because they're not predictable anymore. Amalka, which is this one, chicken, is manuk in Philippine languages. Malay has lost this one. I think we only have it in like Sarawak Malay. Some dialects in Borneo, they have this manuk. Manu in Polynesia, the same word for chicken, bird, same Sun language. Okay, yeah, complicated, right? Yeah, so this is a distant cousin of Indonesian. So if you tell me Indonesian and Malay is the easiest language in the world, you have not met the rest of the family, the cousins yet. Okay, so what happens is this, mga, milanga, kili, koli. These are all forms of a type of root that might have been something like kal or something. Yeah, so it's like, I just tell people for fun. Mokmanga sashimi. So sashimi is used. He's going to eat the sashimi. Nkila sashimi. He was eating the word ah is like the. It can be used as the. It's used to mark nouns. And then James omora rabili. James is feeding Billy. Omora is 2 feet. Yeah, I don't know even know. The O was already something like in Tagalog pa, something to cause someone to do something, but it became O. Nirel klang, the fish was eaten. So it was originally some type of root, but you can't recognize it. It's really complicated. Yeah, all these are the same, the words to eat, but it's hard to find where it came from. The word for food is kal. So yeah. All right, so can anybody guess what this word means? If you speak Malay, Indonesian, Tagalog, Malagasy. No? Bulan. That's bulan, buil. The word for yanged. You know this if you speak. It's langit in Malay. langit. You see the sound changes? So strange things going on. Then you have the word rail. Rail is a pathway or a road. Jalan, daan. So yeah. This was the Proto-Austronesian. Those are the recreated Proto-Austronesian forms. So you see how a language can evolve and change. Oh, that's a turtle. What's turtle in Malay? No? Well, this is how they pronounce it, the same root. Well, penyu. Penyu in Malay. I think it's honu in some Polynesian languages, but yeah, so it's changed. Ralme is water, ralme. That's danum. Malagasy has a ranu with the same word, and I think danum is for use in Ilocano, I think. But yeah, but different languages have different words for water, but this is one of them. So yeah, how it's changed. What about silts? What is a silts? Anybody? No? No, not really. It's the word to shine, sinar, or sinag in Tagalog. Malay uses the word to shine, sinar, silts. So they got a weird sound changes going on, yeah, but it's still Austronesian. So that's Palauan. So the word for animal, arm comes from the word ayam, like in Malay, the word, which can be anything from domesticated animal, chicken, dog, pig, pet, depending on which language you speak. And it's the one that's very common. To play, some languages, or to hunt, this one here. And then the weird thing is the pronouns are all fixed. They've all merged together. So the word, the ku or ko, my animal becomes ermek, ermem, ermel. So they've all mixed, joined up. And how they join, which little vowels they take, depends on the word. You have to memorize it. There's no rule. It's this is the singular form, the plural form. Like all Austronesian languages, there's this plural me and you and me and somebody else. Kita, kami in Malay, or kami, tayo, in Tagalog. So ermed and ermam. And then you've got ermu, your animal. It's like kayo in Tagalog, but it's merged into the word. And then you've got like, ermir, their animal. The R was probably something like an S or something like that, something, or a Y. Yeah, so it's quite complicated. Yeah, and then other nouns have different patterns. You just have to memorize it. Rengul, rengum, rengul, I don't know, the word for heart or spirit. You just have to learn it by heart. Yeah, for every noun. It's the most complicated Austronesian language I've ever seen. R, which is prize, rak, aram. So whether it's you just have to memorize it when you learn this language. So this is an example of complication. Mm-hmm. What else? Blai is house. So it's related to the word balai in Malay or bahai in Tagalog. Again, how do you say my house? Blayak, blayum, blayak, blik. Blik, blim, blil. Again, you cannot predict the possessed forms. You just have to know it. Blith, the D is like a th. And blimam, not blimum, blimim, blimam for whatever reason. And then your house, blimu, blirir for their house. So, yes. Am I going too fast, too much information? So, okay, got a few minutes, good. All right, let's see. So this is, I'm going to stop right here. So terima kasih and, selamat po. And so we've got about 16, 17 minutes before we finish. Mesulang, kemesulang means thank you in Chamorro, in Palauan. Sidzios ma'ase is thank you in Chamorro. And of course, misot is in Malagasy. All right, so finishing a bit faster. All right. Anybody has any questions? We'll do an open session. I think we have to activate the Slido. All right. How does it work? Thank you. I'm finishing now. Yeah. So just keep it short and simple. If anyone has questions, please use the app and yes, do voting. Oh, okay. Oh, why do you have to ask me this complicated question? Sorry. Which Austronesian language would you recommend as the first one to learn? I'm looking for a balance between usefulness and simplicity. Oh, tough question. All right. It depends on what you want. If you are traveling into Southeast Asia, start with Indonesian. It's you can use it if Malaysia, a big chunk of Singapore. Well, Singaporeans will understand it. Some of them, Indonesia, the whole thing. And also parts of in Brunei. Yeah, so it's a pretty big one. It's actually simple to learn, but it's not representative of the whole family as we've seen. But yeah, it's pretty simple. Have I answered the question? I hope. All right. Sorry. Apart from the many rules and sound changes, how regular are verbs in Austronesian languages? Okay, very regular. The problem is once you know the verb class, you can put other The patterns are quite predictable, so it's not that difficult to learn, right? Oh, okay. Let's go to the next one. What percentage of Hokkien and Hakka loanwords are in Tagalog and Malay? What about Japanese influence in modern Indonesian? Good question. Okay, now Hokkien compared with Hakka, Hokkien has much more heavy influence in Tagalog and Malay Indonesian. It depends. I would say anywhere from 2 to 5%, depending on the language. But with Malay, it depends on the register. So the informal register has many more. So like the casual Indonesian that you speak in Jakarta has actually more Hokkien loanwords. Like the pronouns are all Hokkien, most of them, lu, gua, and gue, and all that stuff. Thinking of nouns, I think, okay, I'm going to answer this later on. I'm still thinking of the answer. I don't know for Tagalog, but there's a lot. Like you say, the word for key, susi, sosi is from Hokkien. The word for, I have to think now. No, I can't remember any, but it's off the top of my head. Do you say this when you make rice and porridge, the soup? Do you say The water from the rice water. That's from Hokkien. That's a Hokkien word. They use it all the way from Taiwan and Southeast China. Or with the tone, but there's no tone in Austronesian languages. It's and a few others. In Indonesian, there's a very famous word for to plot and to sneak behind someone's back to discuss something. Kong kali kong. Kong kali kong. So it's kong kali kong, which is directly from Hokkien. So things. Okay, how many Austronesian languages are there? I don't know, but I can try to find the full number, but it's huge. There's several thousand, more than 1,000 at least. How much languages? Okay, so how much of languages much further from Taiwan? I'm second row. Like Hawaiian, have diverged from other Austronesian languages. Okay, it depends on how much, what do you mean by how divergent they are. Like Indonesian have a very conservative phonology, but they've lost all the complicated verbal forms that you find in Philippine languages. On the other hand, languages like Malagasy have very conservative grammar, but they've changed because of African Bantu influence. So it's really hard to say, but generally, the further east you go, the more the endings are lost. So like the word for sky in Hawaiian is lani, langit. So the T is gone. It's lost already, and a lot of all the prefixes and all are gone in Polynesian languages. So I say the further east you go, the more simplified they become. The further west you go, they tend to be conservative phonology, but the grammar has become simplified. I hope that answers the question. And also the Eastern languages, Polynesian have the verb in the same position. Malay, Indonesian, and Javanese, they go in the middle. So so it's hard to tell how much it changes. Which is the most spoken Formosan language? Thank you. I think it is Amis on the East Coast, or Atayal, either Atayal or Amis. So languages on the East Coast, they still have quite a large number of speakers. And I think Amis is actually very close to Philippine languages. They're probably the closest in terms of grammar. The phonology is a bit different. Okay, so I'm just checking the time. Oh, perfect. Okay. Do native speakers recognize the verb conjugation forms with infixes as a single verb, or just think of each as a whole as one unit? I don't know any native speakers of Tagalog or Cebuano or how do you feel when you look at the conjugation? Do you feel it's one word or just multiple words with many parts? I don't know. Oh, yeah, are you okay? Yes. What do you feel? Yeah, okay. What he means is, like, if you see a very long word in, let's say, Tagalog, okay, for example, I don't know, pinakaganda, do you recognize it as one word or like multiple parts? Yes. Okay. Per syllable, right? So you still recognize the parts of good to know. Yeah, so that's from the native speaker. Like Malay doesn't have that complicated grammar anymore, so I can't tell you. So good too. Thank you for that. Okay, is Chavacano an Austronesian language from a lexical, grammatical perspective? Good question. Okay, so Chavacano, I think grammatically, it's too simple to be a Philippine language because the grammar has more in common. It has simplified. It's more like almost like Malay, okay? But I would think the pronouns and all that is still Austronesian. So I would be 50. I would call it a mixed language, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's more like a mixed language, or like a high-end Creole, something like that. Does Tagalog use reduplication to make a plural? Not really. It uses particles that you attach in front of the noun. So like if you say, I don't know, tao, people, mga tao, which is also used in Chavacano, I think. People, but for people's names, like I saw those guys, like I saw Peter and Tom, you use different system for common nouns and specific nouns or proper names. So there's not reduplication, but there are languages in the Philippines that use them. I think Ilocano uses more reduplication for plural than Tagalog, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so that's the reduplication. So now, you're all the hard questions. Is verb morphology in Creole language at Bislama similar to Austronesian language? Yes, but which one? Okay, Bislama, I think, has more features or simplification of the grammar with when you compare it with like the Philippine languages, because some of the languages in the area are also more simplified. So I think yes, I would say yes. Which Australian language is close to Cham? Who asked me that question? Who was asking that? Malay. The Cham and Malay are probably the closest. So if you don't know what Cham is, it's a language that's spoken in a group of languages or closely related dialects spoken in Indochina. So Vietnam and part of Cambodia, there are Austronesian languages. It's quite close to Malay, and the ancestral form is actually, the reconstructed ancestor is close to Malay. Yeah, and there's also a group that moved to China in Hainan, and the language became tonal. So a tonal Austronesian language. It's called Utsat, I think, that's spoken in Hainan Island. Yeah, so it's one of the few Austronesian languages that developed tones because it was in contact with Chinese dialects and other languages there. Okay, are there Australian languages spoken in Malaysia? Cham is one of them. It's probably the only one I can think of up north. Cham languages, the Chamic or Chamic languages, that's the only one that's spoken. They may have been spoken a long time ago, in China, but then they've all moved away or been replaced by Chinese. Yeah, so was that. All right, any other questions? Oh, sorry. Okay. Can you? If not, you can ask. Is it okay? Okay. Yeah. Please ask. Yes, just go.
Thanks. So 2 questions. La première, c'est quel type de nous inclusif il y a dans les... Parce que je sais qu'en maori, il y en a 4 différents. Est-ce qu'il y a des choses plus compliquées ou plus intéressantes? Et la deuxième question, c'est à propos des phonèmes particuliers les plus bizarres que tu connais dans la famille.
Okay, merci. So the we inclusive, I'm going to switch back to English. The we inclusive, like kita, kami in Indonesian, is it? Yeah. So there are several. I'll talk in English then. So what happens is this. So in Malay, like we, there's only kita and kami. So most languages have that. It's like we, me and you, one person, or me and many people, or me and one person, or me and many other people. Tagalog used to have a dual. The kita is me and you, but now it's changed. It has a more complicated. It's like a pronoun that means I do something to you, or you are my something is different. That's in Tagalog. In Polynesian languages, there's me and you, and me and somebody else. So there's dual, there's a few, and there's plural. They got more in Polynesian languages, Maori, Hawaiian. So the inclusive, exclusive is very, very complicated in Polynesian languages. Although the verbs and nouns became very simple, the pronouns became more complicated. So yeah. So you reduce one place and you increase, you make other things more complicated. That's how languages work, I think. And you're talking about the sounds, phonemes that are interesting. Malagasy has the tr sound, tr, or dj sound, which is like the check R with a D or a T in front. Dj, tr. So it is spelled TR. If you see Malagasy, the word for sky is Lanitra. Lanit. So in Malagasy, all final vowels except E or O, I think, are voiceless. So lanit. So you hear the or sometimes. That's in Malagasy. Some languages have pre-nasal vowels. Some languages, but not very common. The most interesting sounds are in Taiwan, because Taiwan is the ancestral place. They have the most complicated sounds. They have the contrast between K, Ka, and K. Ka, uvular and the normal velar K. They have a contrast between glottal stop and ain, the ah sound in Arabic. They have that in Taiwan. I think in Amis language, they say ah for certain sounds and ah in others. It's in Taiwan. They have the l and the sh. The voiceless sound is you find in Taiwan. There's a language called Slaaroa. The name has the sh. It's Lharoa or something like that. Slaaroa. And then they got yeah. So those are found in Taiwan because that's why they think it's probably where the languages evolved. As you go away from Taiwan, they became more simple. Yeah, I think that's it for me. Any other questions? Do we have time? Oh, thank you. 5 minutes or yeah. Anybody? Or you can put a Slido if you want. If you can, try. If not, let me know. Let me know and I'll give you the mic. And yeah, feel free to put a Slido if you can. Yeah, I think the languages are quite very. It's like Indo-European languages. You all cut the whole across the spectrum. Anybody? Oh, just go. Yes. Okay. Right. Sorry. Yeah, Alizi.
So you said few and plural. Yes. So in Russian, the difference is up to 4 and then up to, from 5. Is it the same?
Yes. I think depending on it, 3 or 4 is few, 3, 4, 5. More than 5 is plural. They call it a PAUCAL, P-A-U-C-A-L, a group of between 2 and 5 or something. Some languages do that with pronouns. Yeah. So you two, you a few, and you many. Some do that. But most Polynesian languages for you is you two, and you 3 and more. But it depends. Yeah, they exist. Okay. I think that's it. Yeah, we've got a few more minutes to spare, 4 more minutes to spare. Anybody else? If not, I think we'll call it a day. Okay. All right. Terima kasih. Okay. Salamat po. Maraming salamat. Thank you. Yeah. Mahalo. Thank you.